Some people, them envy you, follow you on Insta just to pre you. The way that go chat rubbish, the way that go spoil your name behind you. You buy one thing, that go on buy two.
The very first thing you do is find the back of the gele and make sure you're turning from the front to the back.
Follow you on Insta just to pre you.
Once you finish turning the tips, you then place it on the head. So you'll be using your index finger and your thumb to tie this gele, and those two fingers are the two most important fingers. Firstly, you're going to hold it with your thumb, like try and hold it tight. Then going in with those two index fingers at the same time, start pulling in material from the back forward. And each time you pull it forward, you hold it with your thumb. As you're doing this, try to drag it and make it as tight as you can. This is very tricky, but if you get it right, it makes all the difference. Now that I have 5 plates, I'm going to ask her to hold it on one side while I go ahead and extend the plates on the other side, line after line.
And God bless you, they don't want to celebrate you. When you tell them good news, they know one day happy for you. Only God knows what kind of bitterness.
Again, I'm going to ask her to hold it. Try to hold it again, so she'll be holding both sides. As you can see, our 5 plates are visible. That's what you want. Now, following the pleats, I'm going to drag the shorter side up. While also following the pleats, I'm going to cross the longer side underneath the shorter side to drag it all the way to the other side. I know I'm saying a lot of sides, but I hope you guys get what I'm trying to say. So you ask her to hold the shorter side because you need that side real tight while you try to form more pleats with the longer side. Again, slowly, I'm going to try and extend the pleats. I know it gets more difficult at this time because this is where most people actually start losing pleats. Me myself, today I still lose pleats sometimes, but I try as hard as I can to follow each line. It gets easier, I guess, the more you do it.
Some people, them envy you, follow you on Insta just to pre you. The way that go chat rubbish.
At this point again, you need her to hold it by the side real tight, and this is probably the most important time for her to hold it because you're about to tie it at the back, and if it's not held tight, then everything you've just done is going to scatter. Seriously speaking, they need to hold it real tight. Then as you can see, we're holding it all from the short side. Then from that longer side that went all the way through the front, you're going to start gathering it, just leaving a little bit at the tips because you want it to form a round shape.
You cannot steal my joy. You cannot kill my joy. Steal my joy. You never ever stop.
Then you tie it real tight. Then after you tie it, now the form part actually begins. Like, this is my favorite part, it's the easiest part. I'm going to start folding. Basically, you just try to focus in the middle. Fold it as neatly as you can. As you can see here, I'm just trying to form lines. You just try and make it look as nice as you can. So after you've done that, then the gele is done. I'm going to retie the second knot at the back again, but before you do that, you can choose if you want it to be a covered gele or an open one. Some people want to cover their hair, so you pull this material all the way down, then tie it or pin it in, or if you want to open it, just fold it.
Well, I guess that was a great interview on our lifestyle segment. We've been discussing the influence of gospel music in Nigeria with DJ NST. Cool guy.
Cool, Guy. I really enjoyed that interview you both had.
Exactly, and of course your interview on the scourge of human trafficking in Nigeria, quite enlightening.
Yes, it's Anti-Human Trafficking Month, where key stakeholders just gather and spread awareness about this heinous crime. It's called modern-day slavery, which is exactly what it is. So I think it was great that we were able to have a guest come in and speak to people, especially young people, who are desperate for money, desperate for jobs, just try to curtail their enthusiasm when it comes to situations that can lead to their trafficking. Definitely. Coming up next on the program is our political desk. We have none other than Honorable Tony Nwulu, who is now a member of the United Progressives Party. He'll be speaking to us about his reason for defecting from the PDP to the UPP. I like that. It sounds like a rhyme. PDP, UPP. Recently, and he would also talk to us briefly about the bill he sponsored, which the president assented to not too long to run, not too long ago. I think maybe I should rhyme.
You're rhyming, Osasu. We should sign you a deal.
You see, not only am I a chief now, I'm a rapper, I'm a this. I keep on amazing myself. I love it. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back on The Weekend Show. Hello and welcome to the political segment of The Weekend Show. With us today is Honorable Tony Nwulu, who is the representative of Oshodi Solo 2 Federal Constituency in Lagos. Honorable, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You were successful in passing the Not Too Young to Run bill, which actually had the president assent to it about 2-3 months ago, I believe. Can you talk to us more about the process of getting this Not Too Young to Run bill into law?
Yeah, it was a very long and tedious one. It was a process that lasted for over 2 years. Getting to, from the startup stage, where the bill went through the first reading. As a matter of fact, it was actually the fastest bill to scale through the first and second reading that I would completely give to the leadership of the National Assembly under the Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, for ensuring that it had a speedy passage for the first and second reading. After that came the actual politicking and lobbying, because some section of our country, certain regions were not comfortable with having young people. They thought the young people were coming to replace them, and then they also had some. They were able to shed some light, supporting the reasons why they were not supporting Not Too Young to Run then. Some of them looked at it that the age at which their young people get matured. Some of the issues like late education and all that were considered, especially up north. So, and then some other people felt threatened that the younger generations were coming to upstage them.
Well, speaking about the age for the House of Representatives and the State House of Assembly was reduced from 30 to 25. The Senate and the governors were left at 35. The presidency was reduced from 40 to 35. Why is it that the Senate didn't change and the governors didn't decrease the age in order to vie for that position?
For me, I think it's like Mr. President rightly remarked, I think it's a work in progress. It doesn't mean that the whole thing about the bill has come to stay. There are still further, I feel the next assembly will still have more job to do, and Nigerian youth should urge and ask for more. For me, if you can vote at 18, nothing stops you from also being voted at 18. If you think an 18-year-old is not capable of making informed decisions, then that means you're ultimately a product of an uninformed decision. So if you're at whatever age you, 18, it should be. I do not see a reason why the discrimination should be there, really, because some would argue that age comes with experience. Yes, I agree, but then age also has nothing to do with being a good leader or a bad leader. You know, if you have 80 years old bad leaders, you have, I think leadership is just something you tell yourself that yes, you want to bring the right approach to it and right mindset.
Okay, Honorable Tony, there are people who believe that not too young to run also means not too young to lose. So beyond the legislation, what more can young people do to ensure that they are able to scale the barriers of participation in politics? How can young people, for instance, start a movement to influence the electoral process, the political process, to embrace reforms that makes it possible for young candidates to emerge, looking at the cost of the process itself, what it takes to obtain a form, prosecute an election campaign, and the whole entire process. So it's beyond just the legislation.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a good question you've asked. But then you should know one thing. We have, I also want to believe that we have a whole lot of young people these days that would rather want to talk and not really get involved in the processes. It's getting involved in political processes has to start with you, first and foremost, having the interest, developing the interest beyond sitting down in the comfort of your bedroom and watching soap operas. You have to get out there, get to find out which political parties align with the ideologies that aligns with yours. And whenever I hear about the cost of getting involved in politics, I always cite this instance with myself. You see, I didn't break a bank and I didn't go robbing anyone to get involved. And it's not as if I had a father that had it to help me get in there. You know, it's about determination first and foremost. It's about convincing yourself that you truly want this. And ultimately, as a Christian, we all believe that power belongs to God and He will give it to you. But you have to first and foremost start the process, and that is getting involved in partisan politics. Go join a political party. That's the process first and foremost. And then most others would tell you, for the big political parties, they are not ready to make space for you, for the young people to come in and all that. We have over 60-something political parties.
But how practical is it to win elections through these parties? We know how elections work in Nigeria. If you are not in APC, PDP, or one of the other big parties, maybe like Labour or APGA, you probably stand no chance of winning an election.
Well, if you continue to look at that like that, then that means you're not ready. Election is shifting from political parties to individuals. People are beginning to look at individuals before they vote. Days are gone when you think because you're in PDP, you're going to muzzle your way through to power. It doesn't work like that anymore. Every election, I mean, further to this, we all know that every politics is local. So if you get to your locality and the people do not like you, if you do not have any social capital at home, no matter the big bag you have, people will take your money and vote for the person they think.
And I think it's interesting you say that, because you're an Igbo man representing Oshodi Solo 2 Federal Constituency from Lagos State. You recently defected to the United Progressives Party, and I'm sure, or the reports say, you're looking to vie for governor of Imo State now with that political party. How do you think this will affect your chances of winning election in Imo State?
Brings me back to the Not Too Young to Run bill. You know, one of the components of that bill was independent candidacy. But that independent candidacy could not fly at the moment. I hope it gets reintroduced. Now, I want every other young Nigerian that really wants to get involved in politics to do the first thing, which is try as much as possible to acquire enough social capital. If you have that, a whole lot would work in your favor. Where your finances will not take you to, your social capital will take you down to that lane. We've seen a situation where an incumbent governor brought out lots of money on election day and yet was rejected by the people. It had happened in Imo State. I'm running for election in Imo State today, and yes, I'm seeking for governorship position. If I had continued to be in PDP, I came in and when I got down to Imo State, I saw how things were going, and some of them were running against my personal beliefs. You know, people have different approaches to most of these stuff. You know, some other people would even get to the extent of dragging the delegates to the shrine or making them take oaths of allegiance to vote for them during the primaries. So if you find out that certain things do not align with your belief, you join whichever one that makes you. But most importantly is the fact that wherever you go to, we're beginning to have a more aware electorate, more conscious electorate. Nigerians are watching, and they ultimately will choose who they think has the right leadership qualities they are looking for.
Well, Honorable Nwunlo, I would like to take you up on the issue of social capital. Historically in Nigeria, we have seen cases where people, politicians or people in the private sector who delved into politics, who had grown a lot of political capital over the years, went into politics, contested for offices, and they were not voted for. The likes of Gani Fawahimi, who was the senior advocate of the masses. I don't know any activist who is as popular as Gani was. The likes of Professor Patu Tomi. And it has been the issue that they did not vie for office on the right platform. So how do you marry this with this social capital thing you're talking about? And again, I'd like to take you up on the issue of independent candidacy. Do you really think that is practical in Nigeria, if I thought it was introduced? Because even in America, an advanced democracy like America, independent candidacy has never worked for anyone.
You know, the truth is this, the both things you say kind of interlace. One, when you mention Gani Fawahimi and the rest of them, there's one basic thing you cannot take away from politics, and that's structure. You must be able to, whether you're running as an independent candidate, you must have a structure. You don't just walk out. If you can't stand on something, then you're not standing on anything.
But political parties own the structures.
No. People develop their parallel structures, independent structures. You can set up one. I set up Mizimo movements. Many, in fact, for you to even be reckoned with, for you to be taken seriously, it's an expensive route, I must tell you. But it's a route that some other people could say, okay, let me align with a political party that has structure. That now deals with the political parties and how much they are able to market themselves. But for you as an individual, political party is one. They have their structures. For you to have your second backup, your plan B, you must be able to set up a parallel structure that would support whatever thing that is going on. You should be able to, like for me, you get to each of the wards in Imo State today. If a political party calls for meetings, my political structure calls for their own meeting. And believe me, my structure has more members than most of them, or some of them. So if you don't have that same structure is what would engage both the political structure, and when you merge the two, you have a bigger thing. You can't just come out from nowhere and say you're running for one thing without
Well, I like the fact
processes.
that you admitted it's quite expensive. So where does that money come from?
Truth remains that politics is expensive the world over. Elections are expensive. You don't sit down in the comfort of your bedroom and they hand it over. Power is not given, it is taken.
That brings me back to the question. So how can young people break into the system? How can young people who are limited raise the billions
let me tell you,
that you were able to raise to win election?
Let me tell you what happens. When a young person comes into a political party that has a structure this time around, and probably you do not have that much money, but like in the case of a certain speaker that I heard used to be a wheelbarrow pusher, I think from one of the speakers from up north. If you get involved in this, people are going to ask you, people are going to relate with you in certain ways. Oh, that young man, he greets people every other time you see him. He's quite amiable. He's very helpful. He's quite generous. Even the little things you do, you go out, you know, there are little share of kindness that you do there that you never know the day you would ask for will be repaid.
My question to you is, are you over dependent on your prior success by winning the elections into the House of Representatives from Lagos State? Are you over dependent on that success, looking to replicate it now as governor of Imo? Because as we know, elections, especially gubernatorial elections in the Southeast, are very contentious. The United Progressives Party is in one of the two major political parties in the Southeast. So what makes you so confident that vying for the gubernatorial seat under that party would actually be a success?
Good. That brings you to being young, being smart, being able to think outside the box. If I was going to rely on my successes in Lagos, then I wouldn't be doing the much hard work I am doing at the moment. But I have not rested. I just came in from Imo State yesterday, and I'm not resting at all. I know that leaving my former party would even mean much more work. Yes, PDP has a name. UPP has a certain kind of structure at the moment. But I've come into the party, I've seen what they have, and I know where I intend to take the party to. And I've already started working on that within the short period. So if I was going to do 10 hours a day when I was in PDP, I probably will be doing 15 hours a day now that I'm in UPP. That shows that I'm not resting, and I'm not going to think that because I came in from Lagos, they're going to take
but
it.
How realistic is your ambition? You have the incumbent governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, who is looking to field his son-in-law, Uche Nwosu. You have in the PDP, Hedioha and Senator Anya, who are also looking to vie for these positions. How realistic is your ambition, given the fact that you're sort of a new politician
yeah,
in this space?
Ultimately, you do what you let the electorate. It has to do with the message you're giving to the electorate. Also realize that to some of them, they've had these people around for a while, and they also see certain baggages that they are no longer comfortable with. It just has to do with your communication. What are you telling them? You see, in politics, just like I listened to someone say yesterday night, that when they say be successful, be important, use McLean's toothpaste. It doesn't mean that every other person that uses McLean has become successful or important. But most importantly, are you communicating right? Are you telling them what they need to hear? And then when you get into office, are you going to follow through what you've told the people? As for the names you've mentioned, you know, before I even became, here I am, similar thing was said. I vied for election in Lagos State. I'm an Igbo man. I was running for election on the platform of PDP. APC controls the states at that time. Do not also forget that I run against an incumbent that is the son of the soil, as they say. And then I had other factors that worked against me, that could have worked against me. One was my language barrier. I don't speak Yoruba, and I don't hear Yoruba very well. So I had all those barriers, but yet they couldn't stop the people. Those did not deter the people from saying, this is our right choice, this is who we wanted, irrespective of the fact that he wasn't even from our tribe, or he's not a Yoruba person.
Well, you know, there's a saying that a bird in hand is worth two in the bush, in the sense that you're vying for governor in 2019, which means you can't vie for re-election in the House of Representatives.
Absolutely.
That means if you lose the Guber race, you also lose your seat in the House of Representatives.
Absolutely.
So what does that mean for you?
What it means is that our constitution does not allow you to run for two positions at the same time. You clearly have to choose the one you want to run for.
As a politician, doesn't that set you back light years?
No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, you choose what you want to. It's not like you wake up one morning and you say you want to govern a state. No, you would have first and foremost taken a study to understudy what and what are lacking in this state. Do you think you have the capacity to fill in all those whatever things you found out that are not properly put in place at that moment? And if you talk about the losing positions, truth is that in winning, you have to be magnanimous. In losing, you also learn to be magnanimous and accept your losses. Ultimately, like I said, power belongs to God. He gives it to who he wishes, but you just have to work do the work that you intend to do. On the path of the return to the House of Reps, do not also forget that the person I defeated was running for his second tenure before the people said, no, we don't want you again. And then we've also seen people that left the House of Reps to go run for governorship. And the governor of Enugu State is a case at hand. He left from the House. There are some other people too that has left. So it has to do with what you choose to see as your political calling. And
how is your constituency in Lagos taking this? Do they feel you have been able to deliver the mandate that they gave to you?
Absolutely. They feel so. And quite frankly, I also can beat my chest and say yes. In fact, the truth is that for most of them, if there's anything that would stop me from moving forward, in fact, for some, they actually feel, sorry to use the word, but they feel betrayed, because most of them would rather I remain and run again under PDP.
And that's why I was wondering, hoping that this was not a hasty decision for you politically.
Some would wish so. Some would wish so, but then, you know, you just have to. For me, I feel if you think you've done something, it's like a class. You're in a class and you think you've written your exams, you've passed.
I think you tactfully avoided that question I asked you, what your response will be if you lose the Guber elections in Imo State, because you've lost, you're not running for a re-election in the House of Representatives, and if you lose as governor, then you're out of politics for another 4 years.
One thing I can assure you is that I know I will not lose, I know I will win, but then if it so happens, you'll still be my friend. And I'll still be Tony Nwolo.
Honorable Tony Nwolo, thank you so much for your time. That's where we leave it for the political segment of this program. We'll be right back with more on The Weekend Show.